Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, Jon Jordan. Now, what I'm going to do for this episode is I'm going to have a quick look at two blockchain games which are broadly similar and may or may not be cannibalizing each other. So the two games I'm looking at is My Crypto Heroes. So that's been going for a long time now, a year and a half. Was one of the big kind of hits of 2019, if we can have big hits in the world of blockchain games. At the moment, I don't know, up to about 3,500 daily active unique wallets. Anyway. And the second game is Brave Frontier Heroes. They're broadly similar games, I guess, in terms of they're both from Japanese companies. They both use actually the same sort of back end, and they both have roughly the same sort of kind of gameplay meta game. So we can have an assumption. So my basic assumption is that they could at least appeal to the same audience. So I kind of thought, should I look at some data to see if they do appeal to the same audience, and we might see that by my basic opinion is that as My Crypto Heroes, as we have good data for My Crypto Heroes over the last certainly last year or so about how many people play that game. We can see the impact of Brave Frontier Heroes as a new game starting out, and we can kind of look to see if there's any trends that are broadly happening in comparison between those two games. So that's the basic thesis for this episode. So, like all good COD psychologists, we're very aware of our confirmation bias. So, me having had this idea, I'm kind of thinking, oh, this is quite an exciting idea. Is this the case? So I'm trying to be kind of careful and not get carried away with my gut feeling that this is the case. You know, it may not be the case. So we always have to start with data. So obviously, my place of first call for data is dapradar.com. So about 3,000 dApps across 10 different blockchains being measured there. My Crypto Heroes and Brave Frontier are, in fact, looking at the chart for the top ETH games. So My Crypto Heroes is number one at about 2,800 daily active unique wallets in last 24 hours. And Brave Frontiers is number two, actually, at 1,200 daily active unique wallets in the last 24 hours. So those are the only two games on Ethereum that have sustained over 1,000 daily active unique wallets in 2020. So just out of interest, we have 0x Universe, just under 1,000. So that's actually for the last 24 hours is looking at 962 daily active unique wallets. But anyway, so My Crypto Heroes is number one, as it has been for all of 2019. Brave Frontiers launched on the 30th of January 2020 and has pretty much gone straight into the number two position. So let's go in and actually kind of get some more data. So in order to do that, if you've not used that radar before, we go and click in on My Crypto Heroes and we get some more data, so a little graph of what's going on there. But actually what we can do is we can go up, there's a little option here where we can export, and we can export either a graphic of the chart that's there, or we can download the CSV file. That's the CSV file, and it has the daily active unique wallets for every day and the ETH volume going through those smart contracts for each day. So we can actually get good data on what's going on a daily basis. So that's going to be the basis for my analysis. So the first thing I'm going to look at is the raw data, and as I kind of explained in terms of the ranking, we can see in blue that Brave Frontier Heroes has in fact kind of been at around kind of 1,200 daily active unique wallets since it launched at the end of January. The lowest it's been is just over 1,000. The highest it's been kind of 1,300. So it's been pretty steady actually. Excuse me. And now we're in about a month of operation, so we kind of have a good idea for that. My Crypto Heroes, a bit more volatile. So it's a game, it has been around for a while. So for most days, it's been over 3,000 daily active unique wallets. At the start of February, we have a period of time for 4 days. It's gone under 3,000, but then it's gone back up again. Interesting that it looks like Brave Frontier Heroes also had a little drop at that point, not as big as My Crypto Heroes. I did go and check on the gas price. The gas price wasn't very high then, so it's not a gas price driven thing. I don't know, some other thing going on there. Maybe some holiday in Japan or something. I don't know. we can see a little kind of trend there, and then my crypto heroes goes back up to its kind of typical value, 3,500. But then we do notice as we come to the end of February that it has started dipping down back under 3,000 daily active unique wallets. So we've got the red line there. The thick red line is the kind of the pure daily active unique wallet data from DappRadar. And I've put in two other trend lines. So the there's a kind of like the fuchsia line, the kind of the bright pink line is the 30-day average. So that's the average, what we call a trailing 30 days. So it would be the average of today plus the previous 29 days. So it gives you an idea of what's been going on in the past. And we can see that is starting to decline a little bit. And we can also look at the 90-day trailing average, so the same thing over 3 months, and that's the kind of slightly less bright pink color, and that's not been impacted so much because obviously that's a kind of longer term trend, but that is also kind of slightly in decline. Obviously less so because you're averaging over a longer period of time, 90 days, but certainly we can see that over kind of the 30 days that Market Heroes has declined somewhat. So that's our first graph. We're going to look at some more graphs before we kind of come to a conclusion. Okay, so the next graph, this is kind of trying to get another idea of looking at kind of average data. So this is quite hard to do for Brave Frontier Heroes because it's only been around for a month, so we can't really do trailing 30-day averages because it's only just been around for 30 days. So I'm a little bit nervous about this graph, but basically what this graph does is I've looked at, for Brave Frontier Heroes, I've kind of averaged the first week. So I've taken this is the average daily active unique wallets it had for the first week, and then every raw figure I've got, I've minused from that average. So I've basically taken an average of its launch week. What was the average audience it had then, and then taken that away from the raw figure. So we can see, as we kind of expect, it's been broadly steady. So it did one day dropped under. For that kind of a short 4-day period, it kind of the daily number of average unique wallets was less than the average. But it's pretty much it's not grown very much. It's pretty much kind of been about 100 or so above its launch week average. So. That's it's not good, not bad. It's not growing massively. It's kind of maintained its audience. So with my crypto heroes, because I've got a bit more leeway, I've actually taken the average of the 7 days before Brave Frontier Heroes launched. So the thinking there is we have 7 days before there was any competition, and then after that period of time we had kind of competition from Brave Frontier Heroes, and so what was the impact there? So this shows quite a strong decline. So we have this decline for a few days. It's not quite clear why. Where both games kind of drop audience, and obviously because my Crypto Heroes is a much bigger game, has a much kind of 3 times the audience in absolute numbers. It loses for one day over 1,000 compared to the average. Jumps back up again. But again, as we go into February, into the end of February, we're starting to see this kind of quite sharp decline from maybe minus 250 in kind of mid February, and now we're on the 23rd is the last data point I've got, and now we're at minus 750. So to me, that does seem to show a fairly strong decline in terms of users for my Crypto Heroes. And here's a final way of looking at the data. So in this case, what I've done is I've taken the first day at which Brave Frontier Heroes launched, so the 30th of January. I've taken that as 100% for both games. So basically normalized it to that period of time, and then just seen how it goes up or down as a percentage depending on that. And we can see Brave Frontier is now, what's that, about 110%. So it's about 10% up on its launch days. Wobbled around a little bit. But fairly always been kind of up on the launch. Again, my Crypto Heroes, it looks okay as a percentage until you kind of get into this end of September, into the end of kind of February sort of thing, where it's now down about 15%, so it's about 85% of what it was. So I wouldn't go too over the top. This is actually, I actually probably my gut feeling was I would have seen a bigger decline for my crypto heroes compared to when Brave Frontier Heroes launched. I think one of the reasons was Brave Frontier Heroes. No one really knew what was going to happen. It launched quite well. It's not really grown since then. So I guess if Brave Frontier Heroes had launched and like started doubling its audience, then that would have been interesting to see how much impact it's had. In some ways, I think Brave Frontier Heroes hasn't really attracted many new people. Probably my second level gut feeling is people are playing both of these games at the moment. I think we've definitely seen a decrease in the value of NFTs in My Crypto Heroes at the lowest level. They've gone from about 0.2 of an ETH to 0.1 of an ETH. Obviously, during this time, we've seen the price of ETH go up as well, so in dollars or yen or whatever. So that's kind of slightly contradictory. But I think we're going to say at this point, there's not enough evidence to say that Brave Frontier Heroes is cannibalizing My Crypto Heroes at any major point yet. But it's definitely the case that we will be looking at this over the next month or so, because it would appear that My Crypto Heroes has gone into some sort of decline over the last kind of week. Obviously, we can't say why that's the case. Could be many reasons. But I do kind of think, in my own limited experience, it's quite hard to play these sort of games, two of these games at the same time. You're going to go for one or the other. Actually, My Crypto Heroes is not a massive game in terms of NFTs. So I think lots of people, with more to do with the time they've got to play in the game. And they are quite grindy games, so they're not kind of just games that you can kind of quickly dip in and out of, and it doesn't really matter. You have to put time into them. So over time, I think we will see kind of one of them kind of win out, and a certain level of audience from probably My Crypto Heroes will move to Brave Frontier Heroes, or maybe My Crypto Heroes will kind of come back and we'll go the other way. I think they're just so similar, and compared to have such a similar audience in terms of being heavily focused around the Japanese kind of player base, because they're made by Japanese companies and they're so Japanese in kind of tone and culture. So good to look at the data and not go too far down this route. That it's definitely cannibalization is happening. I definitely would say there is the possibility that we are seeing cannibalization after the first month, but we'll need to look at more data to actually kind of see how that progresses. Which is what all scientists say, don't they? They always say at the end of their reports, we need more research to come to a conclusion. Exactly what I'm saying now. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I spend a lot of time thinking about blockchain games and looking about data and that sort of thing. So I hope you like that sort of thing too. If you do, please do subscribe to the channel. So we're all about blockchain games, and as well as looking at data. Also spend a lot of time playing them and playing new ones. So it's kind of interested in that. I've done some videos around My Crypto Heroes and Brave Frontier Heroes as well. So check those out if you haven't already. But thanks for watching this video, and hope to see you again soon.